The reason you moved the prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone from finding out what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're gonna have to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I am willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we didn't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touche, Miss Skye. Of course, this only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased? Does such a message exist? I got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. We do have the handprint, but that is not the one we're looking at now. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright! Will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys the message from the deceased. Because we have blood splatter here. We're gonna keep this one for the time being, but in the case, the message from the deceased, that is this one. This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he just going to speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here on the first surface of this jar. Well, what do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line here drawn in blood. So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar from where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these dots, and the victim's message will become apparent. No! Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave behind for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains may reveal the answer. I don't like these dots to make letters. There is only one thing the victim would have written given the circumstances. He murdered his name. So, the question is, I don't know if we can actually use this thing. No, we can't. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So, this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Seaworthy! Can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gaunt, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of that his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in that case, were you not? Ugh. Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial killer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact can't be denied. What's going on in the prosecutor's office? The man have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 The gallows pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Oh, this is so good! Oh. I think my voice cracked a little there. Ow, that hurt. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you running errands again? Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here. She asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about it just the other day. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book. Him? I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. Yeah, like, we just... I mean, I guess we continue to do rule number 2 with our ass pulls and somehow managing, you know? I don't know. But still. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility has been ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out that she's unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely struck a knife into his dead body. That means that the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this was what a prosecution would call for the witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone's been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It will prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realize this is your last chance? If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls. Time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to be manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What? Is this some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant, and I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto! What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean the time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Oh, that is annoying, Pix. Filth, corruption. I can feel you hissing from that, faring well. Or is it more like filth, corruption? I mean, we are known dice goblins, and sometimes we can do that, like, you know, pretty dice, pretty squares make jiggly noises. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Hey, what are you accusing me of, Pix? What? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma was sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. You haven't really lost much. Yeah, that. Pix has it summed up pretty nice, and together with fair and well. I see. Everything seems pretty clear cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Also, it's Dark, not Drake. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Skye also present in that room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. So the two of you ran after him run immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first. So Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that! The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart though. And he's just clapping there like, oh, this is the best thing ever, this is such a show. My prosecutor was killed and I'm just clapping, it's just fun. It's not funny. Could you tell us about what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her hands. Looking back at it now, she must have already known it was what her sister had done. Typing on phone, Sod laughed up. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk? That's right. I think you said earlier, it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt. But moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you better go start staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gaunt to the forgery? So, Gaunt had hidden two pieces of evidence. He had hidden this one, and he had hidden part of this one. And furthermore, the piece of evidence that he had hidden was this, specifically this shard that was like had this blood piece here. But the thing is, we still need to tie him into this, like, this other thing here. Actually, yes, this one. Because he had... This was found on his desk, so it should be this one first. Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that really can't be the whole truth. Somehow, I'm gonna link Gaunt to that incident. Another thing is, let's see. I mean, this one was in Gaunt's part of the room. I mean, we found this one. So we have 3 pieces of evidence we have from Gaunt. We have this piece of cloth, we have the half of this evidence list, and we have the last shard for this this one here. Actually, does it say anything about how heavy this is? I mean, it's a suit of armor. Those things aren't like light to and stuff like that, and the body doesn't just hang like that. That said, though, we have this one. I'm gonna go with this one. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that's a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. But that's the lift line was Sky drew the picture on. This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gaunt, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played part in an illegal investigation. Chief Gaunt, what is the meaning of this? Huh? Here's a defense attorney who might even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Let me see. Huh, that's weird. I got no suggestions though for your laptop. Who? Me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, well, in light of detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and the relation to the forgery that took place at this crime scene. Oh my. Kids these days no longer know how to put 2 and 2 together. Oh, sorry. Let's see. What was it now? A jar, fragment, and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating in the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh, indeed. But I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. All right, Ajay. In your turn, though. I know. That place, right? Huh? What, are these guys telepathic? I'd appreciate if you would